question from a viewer who wants to know, are there specific apps in the book that you really love and recommend?
Of course, there's apps that I use on a daily basis. I mean, and there's apps that once I show the students what they do, they use these apps as reinforcers. They use these apps in the backseat of their parents' car, and essentially they're literacy apps. So they're learning to read and spell completely on their own. The first one I use, of course, is it's called First Words, and it's basically a drag and drop of letters to spell a word. And then once you spell the word, there's a little reinforcer and a picture comes up and then spins off screen. Well, I thought that was just the best thing ever for teaching spelling. And my kids, believe it or not, or my students, took to it almost immediately. Students that were still working on their ABCs and no one even thought they knew what they were all of a sudden spelling. And people were, their jaws were dropping. But the better part of that is now that the students realize that they can spell, they want to. So they just use this app all the time. I walk into a room where kids are on their leisure break time and they're over there spelling. So you can't ask for anything better than that. So I always recommend First Words. There's a deluxe version, which has a lot of categories, and then there's a professional version, which allows you to go in and select the words you want your student or child to learn. So if you're a professional, you probably want to be able to select the targets that you're working on. So that's one of my absolute favorites.
I love that. So could you potentially put in the child's whole spelling list from a given week and then change it every week?
Now, not on that app, but the second app I was going to tell you about,
okay,
which is Little Speller. Now that app is very similar to First Words, where you're dragging and dropping the letters. It's maybe a hair not as engaging for the students. However, you're able to go take pictures of anything in the child's environment, any person, any target you're working on, and put them into this app and then have them spell those. So essentially now you have like an electronic flashcard. And better than that is you can engage the students to go and take their own pictures and program their own files, so to speak. And you don't have to erase them, you just keep adding more and more files. There's a free version of that to try. And then there's, if you want the expanded, of course, it's under $5. Very, very worth it.
Love it.
It's called Little Speller. However, there's another app for kids who are starting maybe your echolalic or just some emerging speech that has worked fantastically, and that's called First Phrases, where you create this little phrase. It's a drag and a drop. Our kids love to be engaged with the app. And then it may be something like step over the water. And then you see this little animation of a child actually stepping over a puddle of water. So now that just reinforces the concept. But after you see that, you get to record it. So the child gets to say it now, step over the water, and then they get to listen to themselves say it and then see the animation again. Oh my God, the kids just love that.
I bet. That
right?
sounds really
They love
exciting.
hearing their own voices, and it forces the word the, because many times our kids with the auditory processing don't hear the.
Uh-huh.
So as they see it and as they have to move it up into the phrase, it forces them to recognize it and know it's there.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. I use that almost on a daily basis. And even kids who I don't think are ready for it, I just sit them down and they do it. They always surprise you. They always come up to the task. So
love it. What about for older kids?
iPad.
Is there an app that you really recommend for our older kids?
Now, the one that's First Phrases, that it's done by Patty Hamaguchi, who is a speech language pathologist, and she makes apps just for the kids who have more language.
Uh-huh.
She has one that's called Fun with Verbs and Sentences, so that brings you up to sentences. Of course, mobile education. He has a daughter who's a little bit older and echolalic and just emerging verbal. So he has made a whole series of apps just for that age group. So you'll have sentence builder, question builder, conversation builder, and that's called mobile education. So if you go and you just Google mobile education, you're going to see all the wonderful apps he has put together to really build syntax and sentences and real communication.
And you talk about all these things. I don't know about the rest of you, but I start to get excited because I go, "Oh, what about an app that does this? And what about an app that does this?" And I know I've sat down with my smartphone or with an iPad and thought to myself, "Oh, is there an app that does this?" And you try to search and you might as well go home.
You might as well.
Right? But that's what your book is for, apps for autism. We haven't even scratched the surface.
No, I want to tell you about some more wonderful things, but
But I think they should go buy the book. I think that's what they should do. This is a great book that's a gift for somebody that whether they're a teacher or somebody who's working with kids with autism or a parent that has an individual that has special needs. This is but it's a great gift to get for yourself. And there's no better time. One of our topics for today was about how to make the most of a break. And a lot of people are just at the start of the summer break. And you can sit there and think, okay, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on sending my kid to a camp. And that's a wonderful thing too. But you're still going to have time at home that's downtime. And your kid can either be vegging out playing a game on the app that isn't educational, or you can invest in this book, which is very affordable, and have great things going on that help your child build the skills that you want to see built.